Hi, I've set the intention that this video will find you exactly when it is supposed to, when you are ready to make a change in your life for the better, not for the better of others, but for the better of yourself. Because when you start to heal yourself, you will begin to heal all the other pieces in your life, but it starts with you. If you don't know who I am, my name is Monroe Eartha, and today I am 32 days sober, and I am sharing the life lessons I'm learning in real time. And I hope that you share your journey as well in the comments below. Who is the you that you would be if you were not worried about what other people thought of you? Lately, I've been approaching life in a way that would make my inner child happy. I've realized at the end of the day, at the end of the life cycle, the only opinion that really matters is the opinion of yourself. Who is the person that you wanted to be when you were a little kid? I think of who I am today, and I just know the inner child that I have within me, she'd be starstruck. And not because I'm famous, because I'm not famous, at least at the moment, but because of the way I've been carrying myself in this world and the way I've learned to handle situations. And I approach things with patience. And I know that life will hand you obstacles, but every obstacle is really just a blessing in disguise. See, the classroom of life is not the kind of classroom we're accustomed to where you're sitting in a seat and you're looking forward and somebody's talking at you, just giving a lecture. It is not like any educational system that you are used to. The classroom of life teaches you with real world situations, and it's testing you. You are constantly being tested by the universe. And what the universe is doing is seeing how you will react to a situation. Because at the end of the day, we do not have any control over what happens to us. The past is in the past and cannot be changed. The future is unknown and cannot be changed. All we have is the present moment and who you want to be in that present moment. So it is not what happens to you. It is about how you react. And how do you choose to react moving forward? I've been called to speak today because I've been thinking a lot about how I've gotten comfortable with being alone. Alone, but not lonely. And that's a very important distinction. And I think about when I was a child, and part of why my inner child would be so inspired by who I am today. I used to be petrified of being by myself. So I would cling to these people who weren't even putting positive energy, putting positive influence on my life just because I was so afraid to be alone. I was so afraid to get to know myself, to unlock my true potential, my true power. And the gag is, I was an only child. I grew up an only child in a single parent home, but I was so afraid to be alone. But you know, if you're familiar with tarot, or if you've gotten a tarot reading, you may be familiar with the Hermit card. And the Hermit card is actually a blessing, because when you spend that time in intentional isolation, getting to know yourself, you unlock the power within. You hear the voice from the inside. You realize, wait a minute, this is what I actually want to be doing. And then you start to ask yourself, well, what's stopping me from doing this thing that I want to do? What are the actions I can take to get to this point in my life that I want to be in? Maybe you have to educate yourself on something. If you don't like where your finances are, maybe educate yourself on financial literacy. Understand how money works. Understand the flow of cash in whatever country you're living in, and how you can make money work for you if your finances are not where you would like them to be. If your love life is not where you would like it to be, maybe ask yourself, how is it that you want to be loved? And do you give that same love to others? Do you want to be loved in the way that you've been loving others? Have you even really been loving others? Or have you just been calling this need for attachment, this fear of being alone, love? If you feel as though you are unhappy, just in general, ask yourself exactly, what am I upset about? And I know, me personally, I have struggled with depression. And when you are in a deep depressive state and somebody asks you, well, what's wrong? It feels like everything is wrong. Try to write it down. Try to make a list and say exactly what is wrong right now, or what feels wrong right now. And then one by one, not the whole list, but one individual thing at a time on that list, decide how you will make a change. All we have control over in this life is ourselves. And that's why I always say it starts with you. And I'm going to do something a little different in this video, and I'm actually going to assign some homework. This homework is designed to get you more comfortable with yourself. So, and it's actually a 3-day process, but it's not very time consuming, so don't be alarmed. But day 1, I want you to look in the mirror, greet yourself, say hello, and then just acknowledge yourself. Maintain eye contact with yourself for 10 seconds. Just 10 whole seconds. You can blink, obviously, but do not break the eye contact. Don't say anything. Do not judge yourself. Don't make any judgments about your appearance. That's not what this is about. It is simply acknowledging the soul that lives within you. Acknowledging yourself for 10 seconds of silence. 10 seconds of acceptance. And when you're done with those 10 seconds, you can set a timer on your phone, by the way. You don't have to count, because that may be distracting. But when the timer goes off and those 10 seconds have passed, say I love you. Maintain that eye contact with yourself and say, I love you. It may be hard at first, but that is why this is a 3-day process, because day 2, you're going to do the exact same thing, but it's going to be 20 seconds. 20 seconds of accepting yourself, acknowledging yourself in silence, no judgment, and end it with I love you. Day 3, 30 seconds. 30 seconds of acknowledging yourself, seeing who you are. And the reason I wanted to assign this homework is I think a lot of the time we are afraid to be by ourselves, because if we're by ourselves, we'd have to acknowledge ourselves and acknowledge the energy that we put out into this world. And I think that's also why so many of us are afraid to be perceived by others, because we don't want to know what other people are seeing in us. But I promise you, what other people are seeing is not nearly as bad as you are probably thinking it is, you know? I think a lot of us may paint ourselves as the villain because we are told to make ourselves small. But you don't need to make yourself small. You have mass. You physically take up space on this earth. Own that. Stand in that. And ground yourself in that knowledge. Ground yourself in yourself. Yeah, that makes sense. And live unapologetically. One of the top 5 regrets of the dead, which is a really good book to read, by the way, but one of the top 5 regrets of the dead is not being who you wanted to be, just living freely, thinking so much about what others were thinking about you, because guess what? You come into this world alone and you leave this world alone. So who do you want to be while you're here? You can't take the judgments of others with you. You don't even take this vessel with you. So just enjoy it while you have it. Enjoy the gift of life. There's so much beauty in the world, and I know especially right now, depending on where you're living, it may seem like there is not a lot of beauty in the world. But try and find those singular moments in the flap of a butterfly's wings, in the sun rays that cascade across the wall coming in through the window, in the bristle of the leaves when the wind blows through the trees. Those are the moments that are naturally beautiful. And you can only start to notice those moments when you accept who you are in your place in this world. And I'm not here to tell you what that place in this world is for. I'm not here to tell you what you're meant to do on this earth. I believe that That's part of the fun of the game, is figuring out that purpose, right? But you can only start to figure out that purpose when you start to figure out yourself. And that's why I always say it starts with you. So please try that homework of looking in the mirror, saying hello, acknowledging yourself for 10, then 20, then 30 seconds, ending it on I love you. And please share your experience with this in the comments below. I would love to see if this makes you feel more accepting of yourself. And you can do this homework as many times as you want, maybe even past 3 days if you feel you want to. You can up the time as much as you want. It depends on how much free time you have, really. But I think it's a good practice to just acknowledge yourself and remind yourself that you do exist. And because you exist, you have agency in this life. You matter. Even if you feel like you don't, you matter. And you are not alone. Someone, somewhere on this earth, is going through the exact same feeling. All right, y'all. Until next time.